St. Patrick's Day is here and gone. And generally, traditionally, it's the time that you would be planting your early potatoes. So if you haven't got any potatoes yet, you could get your seed potatoes. I know locally Clout has them, so you could get them too. Right. Is it too late if you've done nothing yet? No, it's not too late, Fionnuala. You're all right. If you haven't started those veg, is it too late? No, it's not too late, guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that at all, because just get yourself your seeds now, and get cracking on with it. So, you know, now is the time. Most gardeners, or most fair weathered gardeners, as they say, are only kind of waking it up now. Not waking it up, are only getting out into the garden themselves. So don't panic too much. Let's see if that stays like that. That's okay. Aye. So, but get yourself your seeds. Have you got your seeds? As long as you've got your seeds and start having a think. And if you don't have your seeds, you can still buy them at Seed Savers or Greenhill Farm, or contact me, private message, and I'll see if I can help out. But do get yourself sorted at least and make your plan. And one thing I didn't cover the last day is that people were asking me, how do I know what or how much to grow? And you know, we're talking really neat about growing vegetables for, you know, to fill up the cupboards and things like that. But you might not be self-sufficient in the first couple of years, so don't look at feeding the whole family, because it's going to be too much if you're starting out from scratch. Just look at maybe picking a few varieties and learning about them, and really building the knowledge base. That's the most important thing in the first couple of years. So don't go crazy starting everything, because if you do that, then you probably will, you'll fail at some things. Now you'll have success at others, but start small. Also, in terms of how much food to grow for your family, you can do, there's things you can do online. So you can do a kind of, find out how much, for instance, how much garlic to eat a week. So multiply that by 52, and that's how much garlic that you need to be growing. Now, garlic grows from one clove into one bulb, so you have to do a wee bit of maths there of multiplying and dividing about how much you need to plant now, as in terms of the cloves, because they'll grow into bulbs. And then, you know, how much then you would need to keep following year to grow again. We grow our garlic continually, so we keep the best. When we harvest our garlic, we grow our garlic in, we planted the cloves just before probably November, so October, we get them in, and then they grow. And then when we harvest all our garlic, we keep the best bulbs and put them into storage. And then if they last throughout the winter, or if they last throughout, it's not because you harvest it in the summer, if they last for a couple of months, then they're good to go again, and then we grow them. We grow the best ones to go again. Growing sweet corn, any tips? Sweet corn is, you would start getting your sweet corn in around now, I think it is. Let me just check. You might have just reminded me. No, so this year, yeah, we're growing glass gem corn. Now, a multicolored corn with translucent kernels. I'm not sure if they are great for eating, but we're giving it a go anyway. So you sow them in March or April in modules. Plant outdoors. I would say not outdoors. We would go indoors, wouldn't we? In well-prepared soil, May or June, 30 centimetres apart, in blocks of at least 6 for pollination. So the thing about sweet corn, Tracy, is that sweet corns are wind pollinators. So and they can't really grow into the sweet corn here outdoors, so we have to grow them indoors in a polytunnel. So obviously if you're growing them in a polytunnel, we don't really have wind, so you have to plant them in a block as such of maybe 4, 8, 12 or 3, 6, 9, so that they're all beside each other in this square. And then you have to actually go and shake them, give them a little shake to mimic the wind, so that the pollen can fall down and attach itself onto onto the sweet corn that's going to grow. Does that make any sense to you? And any time that we don't really grow it here, but we don't really grow it too much here, but I have grown it before, and the taste is, you know, second to none. And I think it was Monty Don that has the water boiling, and he runs down to the polytunnel, and then he gets or he runs down to probably the glass house or whatever, and he grabs the sweet corn and runs back, because the minute that you pick this sweet corn, it starts to change the flavour. So you growing your own sweet corn, you'll never taste anything like it, because it's so sweet, because the flavours are just amazing. So right, okay, we are potatoes, what did I say? Yeah, so potatoes, St. Patrick's Day. So this is a seed potato, so they call it a seed potato. These are you would buy them. We find it really difficult to keep our seed potatoes, so I buy these new one every year. And when you buy them, what you're trying to do, you generally get them, they don't have this on them, the little eyes on them. You have to chit them then at home. So we've been chitting these for a few weeks, and as you can see, that's the eyes of the potatoes. And we're getting ready to plant these out into the ground at the minute. I just have we don't have the space for a huge amount of potatoes, but I just buy 6 kilograms, and they fit into this box, and then I just chit them all in the box like that. You want to chit them in a room that's light but not full sun, and it's not wet, it's not freezing, or damp, sorry, and it's not freezing. But there was one year that I was doing this, and I came out and everything was frozen solid, and they kind of went a blackish colour, and I panicked. I thought, right, that's it, I've lost all these. But I planted them anyway, and they came back. So, you know, you have a go at it, but just keep them, look after them again. Like these are your nursery stock, and you're keeping an eye on them. So you want to put them somewhere like that, but don't put them anywhere dark, because you know what happens when you leave the spuds at the back of the cupboard, and you forget about them, and you come back and they've kind of went looking for the light. Well, that'll happen if you have them in a dark space. So you want to, once you've done your chitting, I'm going to just get maybe a better example. Once you've done the chitting, they're nearly ready to grow. Now you want them they're about between 1 and 2 centimeters. So these are still a wee bit immature. But what you can do, earlier I was talking about seaweed dust, adding it into the soil. But if any of you have any seaweed tea, and if you don't have it, you can make it, but it takes a few weeks to get ready. But see, having seaweed tea is a handy thing to have, and you can make it in a bucket. So you get yourself some seaweed and a hessian bag, and pop it in to the bag. And you could do the same with nettles, or you could do the same with cow manure if you can get some. Put it into the hessian bag, into the water. What happens is the goodness comes out and into the water, and then you can strain that off and put that into a spray bottle. With the seaweed tea, what we would do is we would spray the potatoes with the seaweed tea, because that would just give them a wee bit of extra boost at that time. So you can see they're still a wee bit slow in developing the buds. So I would maybe leave it a day or two, although I do want to get cracking and get the spuds into the ground. I have early potatoes already in the polytunnel from about 2 weeks ago, and they hadn't developed the eyes, but we put them in anyway. They had developed some, but we put them in anyway, and they should hopefully crack on. What you're trying to do here is just cheat time a wee bit, push it forward a wee bit. And that's what you're trying to do. Now, potatoes, when you plant your potatoes, what you'd be looking to do is, and I'm looking up here, So yes, even though you still have to always refer to your planting calendars. So potatoes early, you put it into the soil in February or March. I'd say March, obviously St. Patrick's Day, and then any time from the end of June really, they'd be ready. Now, how you plant your potatoes into the ground is could dig yourself the trenches, if you wanted, and you plant them about 20 centimeters down into the ground, and then cover them over. What happens is that the plant itself starts to grow up, and you're going to earth it up, because the more earthing up that you can do, then the more that's going to send out other roots, and it's at the end of those roots is where the next potatoes develop. So this one here ends up kind of becoming a bit mushy or dying, but it's the new growth that comes off the potato that gives you your new potatoes. So that's what you're trying to do, and when you have to earth them up. Now, another good one is that if you have any bags of compost or anything like that, empty bags. I'm going to try and show you here. If I have an empty bag. Hold on. So what you can do is you can get yourself an empty bag, or if you get yourself a bag of, now I would say multi-purpose compost for this. Now, get the bag, and actually you're going to nearly empty the bag out. Put the soil somewhere safe for a while. Sorry. I'm folding over the bag like this, right? Oh, all that noise. So I'm folding over the bag, so it's all folded over. And then you get yourself about maybe 20 centimeters of soil and put that under the bag, okay? And then get yourself about maybe 5, push it to 5, maybe, I don't know, 5 potatoes, and put them in, pop them in, and cover over again with about 15 centimeters of soil, right? Now, when the new shoots start appearing, what you're going to do is you're going to turn the bag up a wee bit, like that, and put more soil in. So you're earthing up like that onto the bag, obviously, so like that. And then again, when it happens again, you'll try and, because you're trying to force the potato up the ways, and you're putting the soil and round them. So by the time that you're putting the soil back on, hopefully by the time that it gets up to about there, right, you've got the potatoes growing. So let them go then. Let them go to flower. What'll happen is that the flowers will come out, and then as the flowers start to die back, you can put your hands in and have a wee feel to see what size the potatoes are, and at that stage you'll be able to hopefully start to harvest some potatoes. Again, you can give them a wee seaweed feed if you want at that stage, and just a foliar feed, and that means again that seaweed tea that you've been, or if you can just find nettles, if you can't get any seaweed, the seaweed tea is very good because it helps to it helps to condition the soil. It helps to keep certain diseases away from the plant as well. So you'd be just spraying the actual plant, the leaves and the soil with this lovely smelling seaweed tea. And if anybody smelt it, it's not lovely. So that's basically how I do that. And when you end up, you could do, that's how I do the potatoes. We have them outside, but you can do them, as I say, onto your bag. And that's a good way to do it in a small space, or if you don't have access to outside as well. So has anybody any questions about that? I'm coming. I just had it. Anybody any questions about potatoes? The variety that I'm growing this year, by the way, is called Colleen's. They're an early potato. The reason they call the earlies and you have first early, second earlies, main crop. is there is a difference because it's the time that you grow them, the time to maturity, and then if they can store well. So early potatoes generally is obviously early in the year, but they are ready at about, what is it, by the end of June. For us anyway, it's the end of June. Main crops go on probably middle of April, and then they're ready much later in the year. Earlies don't really store too well, and that's why I have really trouble keeping even the seed for them. But main crops then you can store. So you grow your earlies now, so you grow your earlies now, and then you put your main crops in. So basically you're trying to be able to have potatoes all year round, which is achievable. You just need to get that storage sorted out. And there's a thing called clamping your potatoes, which is an old style where when they harvested the potatoes, they would have laid them all out in the ground and covered them over with soil and straw, and then kept the mound of that over winter, and you would have been able to access the potatoes straight in then when you needed them. How many potatoes would you get from that bag? Well, if you put in five potatoes, I don't know, I suppose it's up to you probably would get anything between 12 and 20 potatoes from each one. And now people say differently, and the varieties could differ as well. But so if you put 5 in, you're talking about 100. So no problem for being late, Evelyn. I see Evelyn's just come on there, and I'll chat about that at the end, Evelyn. Just about this great competition that awards that you're doing. So just to answering that there, is there any holes in the bag? Yeah, you're right, Tom. You should pop a few wee holes into the bag. Maybe just at the bottom, just give it a few wee holes. And you don't want these to be sitting in water, so just be careful if you're watering when you're doing anything in bags or pots or anything like that. Now, one thing that you can do is to check your watering, to see is when you've got whatever's growing in your soil, always pop your finger in. If you can get your finger in somewhere around, if the soil's wet down to there, then you're all right. You know, you should be okay. But if it's dry down there, so don't go with surface dryness. Get your finger in and check it out and see, because sometimes the surface can be very dry very quickly, but the underneath is holding moisture. So that's a good way to do it there for watering. And then yeah, just so what I'll do is I'll try and do I'm hopefully going to get the kids out to garden today. It's a lovely day for it, but if I can get these spuds in the ground, I will just go with it. I don't even need to wait anymore for the buds. But as you can see, some of them are only up to here, so I don't know, maybe to wait a wee while longer. But I will, when I do get out, I will take photographs of step by step of us planting the potatoes. Unfortunately, I have no internet signal to do